The Bloody Countess, the woman who sought eternal beauty, Part 1. Long before electricity lit the cities of Europe, before roads carved through the mountains and tourists wandered the ruins of forgotten castles, there stood a fortress upon a lonely hill where even the bravest travelers refused to linger after sunset. The people who lived in the valleys below believed something evil watched from its stone towers. When darkness settled over the forests, they locked their doors, pulled their children close, and whispered a single name: Elizabeth Báthory. To some, she was one of the richest women in all of Hungary, a noblewoman born into a family so powerful that kings treated them with respect. To others, she was the Bloody Countess, an immortal monster hidden behind silk gowns and jeweled crowns. The old stories claimed that young girls entered her castle with hope in their hearts, dreaming of serving a great lady and earning enough money to help their families. But they never came home. One after another, they vanished. Then the whispers began. People spoke of screams echoing through the halls after midnight. They spoke of servants too frightened to speak. And they told an impossible story, that the Countess had discovered a terrible secret. A secret that could keep beauty alive forever. It was said she bathed in the blood of innocent girls to remain forever young. But was any of it true? Or was Elizabeth Báthory transformed into a monster by fear, politics, and centuries of storytelling? Tonight, we step into one of Europe's darkest legends, where history and myth have become so tightly woven together that no one can say exactly where one ends and the other begins. Our story begins more than 400 years ago, in the Kingdom of Hungary. At that time, Europe was a dangerous place. Great kingdoms rose and fell through endless wars. The mighty Ottoman Empire pushed steadily into Central Europe, while Hungarian nobles defended their lands from constant invasion. Across the countryside stood enormous castles surrounded by dense forests and rolling hills. Their stone walls protected noble families, soldiers, servants, and entire villages. Life inside those castles was filled with privilege. Life outside them was often filled with hardship. Most villagers worked from sunrise until nightfall, struggling to survive harsh winters, poor harvests, disease, and hunger. Many believed that spirits wandered the forests, that witches cursed lonely roads, that ancient forces still watched over forgotten places. In such a world, legends were born as easily as the morning mist. It was into this world that Elizabeth Báthory entered in the year 1560. She belonged to the House of Báthory, one of the most respected noble families in Central Europe. Her relatives ruled kingdoms, commanded armies, and advised kings. From childhood, Elizabeth received an education few women could ever dream of. She learned to read and write in several languages. She studied history and religion. She learned how to manage estates and settle disputes. Those who met her described her as intelligent, confident, and remarkably capable. When she was only 15 years old, she married Count Ferenc Nadasdy, one of Hungary's greatest military heroes. While her husband rode into battle against the Ottoman Empire, Elizabeth remained behind to govern their enormous estates. She supervised hundreds of servants, managed countless farms, collected taxes, settled disagreements, and ruled from the magnificent Čachtice Castle, perched high above the forests in what is now Slovakia. For many years, there seemed to be nothing unusual about the Countess. She fulfilled her duties with authority. Visitors came and went. Life continued much as it always had. Then tragedy struck. In 1604, Count Ferenc died after years of military service. His death left Elizabeth one of the wealthiest widows in Europe. She now controlled vast lands, enormous wealth, and tremendous influence. But it was after her husband's death that strange stories began spreading through the nearby villages. At first, no one paid much attention. A servant girl had disappeared. Then another. Families assumed their daughters had simply found work elsewhere. But as the months passed, more girls vanished. Parents climbed the winding road to the castle searching for answers. Some returned with empty hands. Others were turned away before even reaching the gates. No one could prove anything, yet people began talking, quietly at first. then more openly. The stories grew darker with every passing season. Villagers claimed they heard screams drifting from the castle after sunset. Travelers swore they saw frightened servants running through the courtyards before disappearing into the shadows. Even those working inside the castle rarely spoke about what happened beyond its great wooden doors. Fear had become their closest companion. According to the oldest legends, Elizabeth's temper became impossible to control. A torn dress, a broken plate, a mistake while preparing food. Any small error could bring severe punishment. It is important to remember that history tells us harsh treatment of servants was sadly common among some noble households during this time. But whether Elizabeth's cruelty truly surpassed that of her contemporaries remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Then came the tale that would change everything. One cold morning, so the legend says, a young servant accidentally pulled the Countess's hair while combing it. Enraged, Elizabeth struck the girl across the face. Blood splashed onto the Countess's hand. As she wiped it away, she paused. The skin beneath the blood appeared softer, younger, or so she believed. No document written during Elizabeth's lifetime confirms this story. Most historians believe it was added many years later, yet it became the beginning of one of Europe's darkest legends. The Countess, the story claims, became obsessed with preserving her beauty. She feared wrinkles. She feared growing old. Most of all, she feared time itself. Soon, according to folklore, young women from nearby villages were invited to work at the castle. Their families believed they had been blessed with an opportunity. Serving a wealthy noblewoman meant food, shelter, and a chance for a better future. With hopeful smiles and tearful farewells, daughters left home carrying little more than a small bundle of clothes. Some never returned. As the disappearances continued, the villages surrounding Čachtice Castle fell silent whenever the Countess's name was mentioned. People stopped traveling near the castle after sunset. Mothers warned their daughters never to walk alone. Even strong men hesitated before climbing the lonely road that led to the fortress. The castle itself seemed to change. Its towering walls looked darker. Its windows reflected no warmth. Its silence became more frightening than any scream. Whether that fear came from truth or from imagination, no one knew. But somewhere inside those ancient stone walls, a mystery was growing, one that would soon shake the entire Kingdom of Hungary. And before long, the king himself would hear the whispers. But what happened when the king finally sent his men to uncover the truth? Did they discover a monster hiding behind the castle walls? Or had one of history's greatest legends already begun to take shape? That is a tale for the next chapter. If you don't want to miss part 2, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. And if you enjoy ancient legends, forgotten folklore, and mysterious stories from around the world, let me know by leaving a comment below. Until the next tale, stay curious, and remember, some legends never truly die.